Donkeys stranded on a desert island conquer the arid wilderness. Pigs in paradise sunbathe on a Caribbean beach. And off the east coast of the United States, two herds of horses share one island. Animals gone wild must adjust to life on their own. That means unusual adaptations and surprising behaviors. But their very success could be their downfall. Inside the different realms of the wild kingdom, members of a single species assemble in droves. One flock, herd, or troop reigns supreme. These are the world's great animal empires. The small Dutch island of Bonaire lies off the northwest coast of Venezuela. Fewer than 300 square kilometers in total area, this tiny island of dry land and sparse bush is the adopted home of one of the world's most iconic beasts of burden, the donkey. Donkeys have been living wild on Bonaire for over 500 years. Most of them have distinctive stripes that form a cross down their back. This has led to a long association between the donkeys and Christianity. Other than snakes, donkeys are the only animals that speak in the Bible. The cross is actually a trait inherited from the Nubian wild ass, one of two subspecies from which all domestic donkeys are descended. The donkey's ancestors made their home in the desert land of northeast Africa, between Egypt and Somalia. Then, over 5,000 years ago, humans domesticated them and brought them across the far reaches of Asia and into Europe. In the 16th century, it was the Spanish conquistadors that brought donkeys to Bonaire. For centuries, donkeys were used in Bonaire's salt trade, alongside enslaved African people. When slavery was abolished on the island in 1862, the salt business industrialized. The donkeys were set free. Today, they are a reminder of the island's history. The feral donkeys quickly adapted to Bonaire. They are naturally suited to desert environments like these. In the 1950s, their population exceeded 1,200. There were 4 donkeys for every square kilometer. Their diet here consists of grass, shrubs, and desert plants. The plants also give the donkeys most of the water they need. The thick hooves protecting donkeys' feet actually benefit from the rough and rocky ground. Their hooves are the same material as human fingernails and never stop growing. Trekking across the hard terrain files them down, protecting from painful overgrowth. To keep cool, the donkeys kick up the desert dust and cover their bodies. This insulates them from the hot sun. Male donkeys are called jacks. The dominant jack will lead a herd of around 20 individuals. The herd includes a harem of up to 8 females, their foals, and often a few subordinate males too. These days, the donkey's desert home is changing. Development on the island and a growing tourism industry have intensified competition for territory between jacks. And as humans move in on the donkey's turf, conflicts with their new neighbors are inevitable. In the Bahamas, the Exumas are an island chain about the length of Long Island, New York. This is Big Major Key, one of the 365 sandy isles that make up the chain. It's home to some surprising castaways. Stranded here, pigs in paradise. These are the same species of swine that can be found on farmers' fields across the globe, but these ones are feral. Domesticated pigs are descended from wild boars. These pigs may live in the Bahamas now, but their ancestors hail from Asia. More than 10,000 years ago, people there started capturing and breeding wild boars for food. Today, domesticated pigs are found on every continent except Antarctica. About 1 billion domestic pigs are alive at any given time, making them among the most numerous large animals in the world. But here, domestic pigs have gone wild and live feral lives. Whether it's a nursery rhyme about pigs going to market, a folktale featuring 3 little pigs hiding from the big bad wolf, or a classic novel where a well-meaning spider named Charlotte tries to save her barnyard buddy, stories about pigs have been igniting the imagination of children for centuries. Big Major Key is no exception. The origin of these pigs has become a local legend. Some speculate that they swam to shore following a 16th century shipwreck. The truth is, they were actually brought here as livestock from the Bahamian capital, Nassau, in the 1990s. At first, there were only 5 juvenile pigs, and they were fed and fenced in. But when they grew larger, they escaped. The pigs survived on the island for 7 generations. Now, the population has grown to over 30. They may technically be domestic pigs, but these boars and sows haven't lost their innate ability to find food. This behavior is called rooting. Pigs see the world through a heightened sense of smell. Digging with their elongated snouts, they can sniff out edible roots as far as 1 meter underground. Most of their diet comes from roots, but they also eat wild cabbage and berries. They get their water from the island's 3 inland springs. By nature, pigs are social, gregarious creatures. They travel in groups called sounders. This one consists of 3 mature sows, 1 boar, and their offspring. A curious disposition and a broad diet means pigs can find food in just about any range, making them one of the world's most adaptable animals. But there's a downside to their success. With no predators, the number of pigs here will continue to grow until there's not enough food and water for everyone, potentially devastating the island's native ecosystem in the process. Assateague is a barrier island running parallel to the east coast of the United States, from Maryland to Virginia. It's a narrow strip of sand and sediment, almost 60 kilometers long. Another island with another species gone wild. Horses. Assateague's horses have free rein over the island's open meadows. Worldwide, the population of domestic and feral horses is estimated to be 58 million, with over 9 million in the United States alone. There are so many horses in the U.S. that if they were to form their own state, it'd be the 11th most populous in the country. Prior to their domestication, horses roamed the open plains and grasslands of the Eurasian steppes, from Ukraine to Mongolia. First domesticated as a food source, humans eventually realized that tame horses made great workers. Over thousands of years, people brought horses with them across the globe, just like pigs and donkeys. Assateague Island's horses have been here since before the American Revolution. But how they got here is a mystery. Some say that the horses arrived when two Spanish galleons crashed into the island during the 1500s. Others believed that early colonizers stashed the horses on the island to avoid paying livestock taxes. Regardless of how they arrived, they've been roaming free for over 3 centuries. Today, 300 horses live on Assateague. Horses instinctively form herds like this one to protect one another and act as lookouts. Feral horse herds are often called bands. The bands are led by a dominant stallion. He's the herd's protector and enforcer of the band's rigid hierarchy, leading a harem of up to 8 mares. In addition to a dominant stallion, every band has a lead mare, like this white horse. She decides where to graze and when to go find water. Horses are prey animals. They grow anxious and flighty when alone. Even here, where there are no predators. The company and hierarchy of the band keep everyone feeling secure. With winter on its way, this horse has begun shedding dead hair and growing in a thicker coat. The horse's pituitary gland recognizes the shift in daylight hours and produces a hormone that triggers the increased hair growth. It's an itchy process for the horse. Horses need to keep their coat well groomed all year. It regulates body temperature and protects against the elements. Horses also produce pheromones that make it possible to identify other herd members from as far as 120 meters away. Of course, there's always an itch that you just can't reach without a little help. When animals clean each other, it's called allo-grooming. It's a sign of an intense bond between horses. The more horses an individual grooms, the higher her social status is within the herd. Scientists have even found that mares, who are the most gregarious groomers, also produce the most offspring. Horses spend between 15 and 17 hours a day grazing. Horses here eat the grasses that grow in the salt marsh or on the beach. This diet is high in salt content, so the horses drink twice as much water as other wild horses. All that water makes them bloated. The grasses are also low in nutrients, so the Assateague horses are shorter and stockier than other breeds. Adult horses eat 21,000 calories each day. Grazing the grass and trampling the field takes an enormous toll on the island and increases erosion. With no natural predators to control the population, these horses can eat themselves out of house and home. In the 1950s, there were 5,500 people living on Bonaire. At the time, that meant for every 5 people on the island, there was 1 donkey. But as the world changes around them, the donkeys are starting to disappear. These days, it's tourism, not salt, that drives Bonaire's economy. 70,000 people visit annually, most of them coming to dive the clear blue water and explore the coral reef that surrounds the island. 16,000 human residents now also call the island home. Development has encroached on the donkey's former range, meaning there's less area to graze and less food to go around. Many also believe the donkeys are throwing the ecosystem out of balance, killing plants, and, like the Assateague horses, eroding the island with their non-stop grazing. The donkey's brave new world is full of unknown threats. And their ancient instincts never prepared them for dangers like these. Unlike horses who instinctively flee nearby threats, these frightened donkeys freeze in the face of danger, stopping to investigate threats. It's an impractical defense when your range extends across roadways. Donkeys stay close to the road for a reason. It's quite resourceful and efficient for grazing. The asphalt repels water, which means that during the rainy season, runoff from the road spills over onto the curbside, cultivating some of the island's most luscious greens. In recent years, up to 60 donkeys annually have been killed in motor vehicle accidents. Even though their numbers are declining, there are still too many donkeys and not enough space. So measures have been put in place to control Bonair's remaining population of wild donkeys. Jacks have been gelded and then released back into the wild. Meanwhile, mares are being relocated to a protected area, safe from the island's development. Limiting the number of free-roaming donkeys on the island means fewer car accidents and more space for the donkeys to graze. But population control may just be the straw that finally breaks the donkey's back. It might mean the long history of the donkey's wild life on Bonaire could be coming to an end. The wild pigs' colonization of the Bahamas' big major key has been so successful that the locals now refer to this spot as Pig Beach. To avoid the hot sun, the island pigs spend the hottest hours of the day in the shade. They save their foraging for the early morning and late afternoon. Pigs don't have sweat glands to help them keep cool. They're susceptible to heat exhaustion, sunburns, and even skin cancer. Wallowing in sand, while not as effective as a mud bath, cools them and also helps the pigs by shielding them from harmful UV rays. And when things get really hot, these pigs have another trick up their snouts. Out on the ocean, a commotion sounds. The pigs storm the sea. And then, an even more curious behavior. They piggy paddle out to the waiting boats. They weigh between 45 and 90 kilograms each, and they're not exactly hydrodynamic. But what these pigs lack in speed, they make up for in determination. In the last 10 years, the legend of Pig Beach has spread far beyond the Bahamas. They've become the biggest single attraction in the Exuma Keys. The sight, sounds, and smells of boats and humans draw the pigs out of the bush and into the water. This isn't the first time stories of swimming pigs have amazed humans. During a World War I naval battle, an attacking British vessel rescued a pig swimming away from a sinking German ship. He was nicknamed Tirpitz and became the official mascot of the HMS Glasgow. In 1946, 200 pigs were brought to the Marshall Islands to test the effect of nuclear fallout from an atomic bomb detonation. After the explosion, they found pig number 311 swimming, safe and sound, in the Pacific Ocean. She lived out her remaining days at Smithsonian's National Zoological Park in Washington, D.C. Swimming is actually instinctual in pigs and can be traced back to their ancient ancestors. Wild boars are exceptional swimmers. In 2013, a wild boar swam 11 kilometers into the English Channel and was found on an island off the coast of France. So if pigs have always been able to swim, why is it such a rare sight? For the most part, domestic pigs just have no reason to swim. So what makes big Major Key's pigs take to the sea? Food, naturally, from the same humans who come to see them swim. Widely considered amongst the smartest animals on the planet, pigs have similar brain power as elephants, dolphins, and chimpanzees. Pigs have excellent long-term memories and exhibit extraordinary problem-solving skills. Both qualities help them exploit what's become a dependable supplementary food source. Locals were the first to discover big Major Key swimming pigs. But in the age of social media, word spreads quickly. By the mid-2000s, photos of the pigs began popping up online. Before long, the pigs went viral. They've made international headlines, partied with pop stars, been photographed with swimsuit models, and even appeared on reality television shows. Hashtag pigs in paradise? Not so fast. The daily visits and supplemental feeding are beginning to blur the line between wild and domesticated once again. Although the pigs here are being fed, there's no one directly responsible for their well-being. If left unchecked, feral pig populations grow rapidly. One sow can birth over 20 piglets annually. The number of feral pigs in the United States has tripled in the last 25 years, from 2 million to 6 million pigs. An island like this one could quickly become overrun, devastating the local flora and fauna. In the past, population control for swine meant the slaughterhouse. Nobody seems keen to take these little piggies to market. But if left alone, the number of pigs living in this hog heaven could go hog wild. The sand that makes up Assateague Island's beaches comes from the ancient eroded rock of the nearby Appalachian Mountains. Waves pounding against the shore move the sand and keep this barrier island in a state of constant flux. But man-made barriers also shape life on this island, for both people and horses. A state border runs across the island, separating it into two parks. The northern section of the island is Maryland's Assateague Island National Seashore. The southern part is in Virginia, where the horses live on the Chincoteague National Wildlife Refuge. A fence separates the two parks and divides the island's horses into two distinct herds. This is one of the Maryland horses. Now in his fourth year, he's just beginning to reach sexual maturity. He's on his own. The leader of his band, probably his own father, chased him away when he got old enough to become a threat to the stallion's dominance. For horses, This is an instinctual prevention against inbreeding. Stallions form their own band by drawing in females that have also been cast out, or by attracting a mare that's left her band to give birth. The Assateague Island horses are one of the few wild roaming herds in the United States. They're the subjects of ongoing studies by scientists striving to understand the secrets of wild horse herds. They found that individual horses form close bonds with each other, but these relationships are so prone to fallouts that researchers have compared life in the herd to a soap opera. The horse's reign on Assateague Island faces a similar set of threats as the donkey's empire on Bonaire. The horses are drawn to the rich grasses on the side of the road. Humans are drawn to the majestic horses. It's a dangerous and potentially deadly combination. Since 1982, traffic accidents have killed 29 horses on the island. But the horses themselves may be their own worst enemy. By pulling up the grass, the hungry horses are weakening the island's foundation. This salt marsh is regularly flooded by the tides. Assateague is a barrier island, and, like all barrier islands, it's made from sand. The grass is the glue that keeps the island from washing away. When this area was made a national park in the 1960s, there were only 28 horses living on the Maryland side of the island. A nor'easter had decimated their numbers, and the park sought to protect the small herd. By 1997, the herd's numbers had risen to 165, and the park faced the opposite problem. The horse population was too high. To protect the horses and their home, the United States National Park Service put in place a plan to control the population. Most of the female horses on the Maryland side of the island are now on birth control. Mares who have given birth at least once are shot with a dart gun containing a state-of-the-art equine contraceptive. For the first few years of the program, the population continued to grow. But officials were patient, and in 2014, the Maryland's horse population dropped to a sustainable 100 horses, with no cull or relocation necessary. The female horses that receive the contraceptive even live longer because they're spared the stress of pregnancy and nursing. The future of the Maryland horses has been secured. On the Virginia side of the island, the horse's appetite poses the same threat to the island's foundation. But officials there are trying a different solution to manage the population. Worldwide, 95% of donkeys are still domesticated workers. In places like Latin America, the Middle East, India, and sub-Saharan Africa, they remain a valuable beast of burden. There are an estimated 44 million donkeys around the globe, and their numbers are growing. In industrialized countries, it's a different story. Donkeys are in steep decline. Affordable cars and trucks mean donkeys get left behind. Donkey Sanctuary Bonaire exists to ensure the future of the next generation of the island's donkeys. It was established in 1993 to help care for the island's sick and injured donkeys. Displaced by development and killed by cars, before the sanctuary, the Donkeys Island Empire was on the road to extinction. The donkeys here are fed 3 times a day, a diet of horse pellets, vegetables, and as much hay as they can eat. These days, it's far safer for Bonaire's donkeys to live in the sanctuary than it is to try and survive in the wild. This foal was brought to the sanctuary when she was just 2 weeks old. She was hit by a car and was found with a broken leg. Without Donkey Sanctuary Bonaire, she would have died. Here, on-site veterinarians provide regular checkups. The foal's 2 months old now and still healing. They line her legs with wooden stints to keep the bones straight. Donkeys' bones grow until they're 3 years old. This is a critical time. If her bone doesn't set right, she'll face a life of constant pain and will need to be euthanized. But so far, the young foal is doing well, and if she continues to recover, she could live to be 40. Today, close to half of the island's donkeys live in the safety of the sanctuary. That means 600 donkeys don't have to worry about car accidents. The jacks are more aggressive, so they still roam free on the outside. Most are tagged, chipped, and gelded to limit population growth. Meanwhile, the island is still looking for ways to make the wild safer for donkeys. Like these street signs that have been placed across the island warning motorists to look out for crossing donkeys. The next step is a scientific study to determine the number of donkeys the island can support. When the carrying capacity of the island is determined and measures are put in place to keep wild donkeys away from human development, Bonaire will be safe for donkeys once again. Until then, the sanctuary will continue providing the highest quality of life possible. That includes plans to deepen the island's gene pool by artificially inseminating mares. So when the time comes for the donkeys to live free again, Bonaire's donkeys will have the best possible chance of survival. The donkey's long reigning empire may soon be ready to rise again. On a second sandy and deserted island in the Bahamas, the burgeoning empire of Bahamian pigs is growing. These pigs were born on Pig Beach, about 90 kilometers away from Big Major Key. They were relocated here because it's closer to the Exuma's capital and therefore more accessible to tourists. This sounder is comprised of 3 separate litters, each with about 4 to 7 piglets. Like all piglets, they were born highly developed. They could see and hear at birth and walk within minutes. The youngest pigs are just 6 weeks old, but a lifelong pecking order already exists among siblings. It was established the day they were born, as the piglets competed to suckle from teats. The piglets will nurse for up to 5 months, but even after they've weaned, they'll remain close to their mother and siblings. Unlike the pigs on Big Major Key, these pigs can't survive without human help. Because there's no freshwater spring on this island, their drinking water is shipped here daily. The pigs here have been domesticated once again. Their new fence is the Caribbean Sea. It's an odd combination of agriculture and tourism. The spread of this pig empire could spell disaster for both pigs and their adopted lands. Across the Bahamas, other introduced species like cats and mice have decimated island ecosystems. Left free, the highly adaptable pigs could eventually outcompete native species and wipe out local plant life in the process. The unregulated nature of this bizarre phenomenon means there's currently no population management plan. But for the pigs, life in the Bahamas beats life on the farm. Most of those pigs don't make it to their first birthday. As long as they have food, shelter, and water they need, these pigs could live for another 20 years. The Chincoteague National Wildlife Refuge in Virginia is on the southern side of Assateague Island. Though these horses are left to roam free, each one is branded with the year of their birth, so the herd's numbers can be monitored over time. There are a few differences between the northern and southern Assateague horses. One difference is their name. Down here, people call them Chincoteague ponies. Genetically, a horse and a pony are the same. The difference is in the height. Horses are taller. Island life has made these short and stocky over time. So by equestrian standards, the Assateague horses are in fact also ponies. The Chincoteague's ponies' relentless grazing poses the same threat to the island as their northern cousins. When unmanaged, feral horse populations can double every 4 years. But even though 70 new foals are born each year, the effect on the ecosystem here hasn't been as severe. To prevent overpopulation, this herd has been managed for nearly a century. But it's done differently than it is for their northern cousins. Each spring, once foals are weaned, they're rounded up and auctioned off, sent to new homes off the island. Today, there are over 1,000 Chincoteague ponies living on the mainland. The breed is highly valued for their calm demeanor and a hardy nature. Every year, a few foals are kept back to make sure the wild population stays strong. There are now a manageable 150 horses on this side of the island. That number falls firmly in line with the ecologist's recommendations. The two herds are both considered conservation success stories. With proper population control, the hope is the sun will never set on the empire of the Assateague Island horses. Thousands of years ago, animals like donkeys, pigs, and horses became reliant on their owners. Likewise, humans came to rely on them, bringing them with us as we traveled the globe. But when animals are abandoned in strange new lands, the consequences are unpredictable. Controlling the population of feral species remains an ongoing challenge for conservationists around the globe. These empires gone wild struggle with depleted ecosystems and new relationships with humans. As these herds, bands, and sounders continue to try to find harmony for their animal empires.